I was excited about this view both because it was a bathroom that I could get to on Google Street View, and also because I thought it was really doubling our bathroom experience.
That's very thoughtful, maximizing.
That's my, yeah. I wanted I wanted the best for our audience.
Mhm.
Oh, what paper? Maybe I will use the smooth paper that I like. And we have 20 minutes for this?
20, 25, whatever you need.
Okay. 20, so double our time from last time. So we'll
You
just...
have a little stencil there.
Oh yeah, sometimes I make these little stencils for myself and then I don't bring them with me. But I had this theory at one point. I like worked for this artist and I saw that a lot of what she did was just kind of create these series that were all the same size. And I thought that was really powerful. I was like, man, if you just make everything the same size, things go together even if they don't. And
Mm.
I wanted that for myself. And so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna make stencils. And I stuck with it for a little bit, but I'm just not I'm not a person that easily sticks with one theme for a long time. So
Mhm.
now I have the legacy of the stencils. It's like it gives me some comfort. It's like my little stencil friend at the beginning. Um, a lot of triangles in this scene. Sometimes if I teach classes, I'm like, make a value study first, but we don't have time. But they can be nice.
Yeah.
Just gonna go for it. Our little trees. Boop.
Hmm. Do you have
I
your view
thought,
in a bit? It's a little hard to see where you're starting.
Oh, my little lines.
The lines are a little hard to see. I'm also wondering how your reference is cropped, if it's like the full view.
Oh, do you want to see what I'm doing? I zoomed in.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, Let me see. I can make it a little bit darker probably. Whoop, just kidding.
Other way.
Other way. I mean, I don't
Other
think you'll want it darker. So like I have the like
Oh no, now it's like nighttime.
now it's nighttime. Daytime, nighttime. Here, let me just do a little boop of color and then I think you will get it.
Hmm.
Okay, so here we have our restrooms. I mean our porta potties. I got too much water there. I was too enthusiastic. Um, and then get a little green. And then we have like the grass in the front, and then the back restroom, and then I have to look at the image again. And then our like forward restroom. And then these are like these green electrical boxes over here. And then I might be doing kind of a bad drawing here, but oh, excuse me. Oh,
Okay.
oh no. I'm in the like gross phase of a cold where the cold is desiring to exit my body.
That's super helpful though, Sarah. We can see it very clearly.
Okay, good. Yeah, so you see these little trees, you see this
Yeah.
building. Here's our little bro, like here-ish. And then our green background. And I might just go ahead and make my whole background something similar to this little green color. I'm hopeful that this phase of my cold means that my cold is almost ready to leave me. It is seeking a new host. Yesterday was a phase of the cold where I just felt like so tired and like kind of just like super stuffed up and just super exhausted. But today I am enjoying Dayquil.
Dayquil.
Yeah.
I like how loosely you're filling in those shapes.
Oh,
Looks
thank
fun. Like
I
you're holding the brush so loosely and so far back, getting some nice texture.
Oh, I love the texture of gouache. That is, and I like to make a lot of texture at this phase of the painting, because I feel like then you can have, um, I guess it's easier to make texture when you're being really broad and loose. And so then when you go back over it with really tight shapes, um, you don't lose all of that texture. I like that. I'm always trying different things with my gouache palette. And right now I probably should squeeze out. Like I like this situation with the disposable palette a lot. But I keep, I see all the like warrior painter people with their little tiny um, square palettes. And so I keep trying that because I think, oh, this will be helpful. But I don't know that I love it. Like,
Mhm.
I haven't figured out a way to work with it that I love yet. Oh, I barely nailed this color.
I thought it was really fun what you said earlier about like the textural qualities of the paint, why you dislike oil paints and why you like gouache paints.
Mm-hmm.
I really like gouache, like from the appearance, and I always love other people's work in gouache, but like I really struggle with gouache because of the texture actually. Like because it's so chalky, like I feel when I touch a surface like that, like it sucks out all the moisture
Oh,
out of my hands, you know?
yeah. I like that feeling. I mean, I don't
Okay.
like that feeling, like chalky and moisture being sucked from your body sounds pretty bad, but
Yeah.
I would prefer to have like a dry kind of talcum powder experience than to
Yeah.
have like a greasy, wet,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I understand.
slimy experience. I think also, I mean, I got a BFA in painting, um, and so I just have done a lot. I've been in a lot of, and I taught oil painting to teenagers for so long. I think I've been in a lot of like painting environments with like, where either myself didn't know what I was doing, or I'm surrounded by teenagers that like just are so unaware, like
Yeah.
unaware of how they are covered in paint and unaware of how like
You're
um,
like, wait, it doesn't come out of clothes.
oh, every time,
You
every
would
time.
think that it would.
So I send out an email. I tell them day before, like, don't wear cute clothes. I know you want to, but don't do it. Like, we do everything we can. And then every single time there'll be somebody in like, their favorite hoodie covered in white paint or whatever. Just like, will this come out, Sarah? And I'm just like,
No.
no, it won't. You can try to make yourself feel better, but it's going to be unsuccessful.
Sarah, question for you from the chat. How do you handle wet gouache in the water when drawing outside?
Wet gouache in the water when drawing outside, like if it's raining or like just where do I put
Oh,
them?
and the water. I guess how do you transport it?
Oh, I usually just like bring a water bottle because I'm always trying to be hydrated. So even today, I prepared a plastic bottle for myself so I wouldn't have to run to the sink.
Yeah, you have so many of those.
Yeah, lots of bottles. And then I have a spritzer, a fine mist spritzer, so that when the paint dries out, which it's not really doing here because it's in the moist Pacific Northwest and I'm inside. But I was painting outside the other day in like 80-degree full sun. Um, and this, like, I'll spritz my palette just to kind of re-wet it. And I find that really helps. Like these little boxes, you probably want to start by spritzing. Um, and I hear that these boxes, they can get moldy. I hear, and I've experienced they can. Um, but if you have just like a little bit of clove oil in your water, it both smells really good and it'll prevent the mold. So that's true for the stay wet palettes too. Yeah,
Wow.
super
That's a
pro tip.
neat trick. Good
Yeah.
to know.
It also apparently helps slow down the drying time of oil. So like you would never want to use it as an oil to paint with. But if you have, you know, like again, like a stay wet palette of oils that you're kind of carting around, um, a lot of my friends they'll like take a paper towel or like a piece of Velcro and they stick it to the top of their palette, like to the palette lid. And then they put clove oil on that little Velcro piece. So it kind of infuses the environment of the stay wet palette with, I guess, like the general vibes of the clove oil, you know, but not touching the paint. And that really helps it's like so effective, I guess, that it helps the paint not dry.
Cool.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Good tips.
I'm a big fan of the tips and tricks. I don't know what color to make my little buildings. They are currently white, but that needs to change. Just gonna go for it.
Yeah, with gouache, I guess you usually don't leave a lot of the paper white. Would you
I
say that?
personally don't, but that's kind of like that I was drilled into that in school. They were like, cover the page, make a decision. And so I feel like I was always trying to just like cover the surface with something. I think it's also oil painting, maybe. It's a really different surface to be working on acrylic gesso versus to be working on oil paint. And so covering the page with the oil paint early on kind of allows you to have more of a oil primed experience, which is a much more pleasant experience because it's a little bit more, it's like absorbs better into the oil.
Mm-hmm. So interesting. There are a few more questions from the chat, and
Sure.
Katrin is asking if you still use tubes outside. So you bring your Stay Wet palette or the box and tubes, or do you just leave them at home?
Um, if I am, yeah, really kind of gearing up to go outside and I really want it to be like a minimal experience, then I'll usually just bring like a square box like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll also bring palette paper. I won't squeeze it out at the top. So I'll bring that square box, I'll bring the palette paper and same color. And I'll usually bring an extra tube of white.
Mm-hmm.
And if I feel like there's anything I might run out of, I'll bring that too. But I usually keep it pretty, like I'll work harder to try to be more minimal with it.
Yeah.
I also in the past have really liked Winsor & Newton has like a little teeny weeny pocket sized watercolor palette. And when I
Mm-hmm.
was first doing gouache, I often just used that. And I kind of like that. I guess it's like the same thing as this. So I don't know why I liked that more, but I liked it more. I have it. Yeah, I don't know where it has escaped to, but I would basically just like fold a little paper towel in the top, like a moist paper towel.
Mm-hmm.
Do it that way. But it's really similar to this. And I think the idea here is that at least your paint like doesn't dry out. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
that one, like if you're painting every day, it's great, but it will dry out and then you'll be sad.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. And there's another material question if you're using an Escoda Pala brush, or do you prefer synthetic brushes, or do you stick with natural hair?
Oh, I usually just buy the cheapest brushes that I can. So I think those are synthetic brushes. Um, I have a variety, but because with the gouache, I feel like I wind up doing so much mixing with the brush. It kind of kills, like it kind of just is mean to the brushes.
Yeah.
So I tend to just like get uh new brushes after a while and just like treat them
Yeah.
badly.
Yes, someone who treats their material badly. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm not alone.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I like gouache is that with oil painting and acrylics, like especially out of school, I'm like working and trying to make art and trying to like juggle, you're like trying to, it's like you can pick three things like sleep, eat, have friends, do art, I don't know, whatever. And one of those is like you can clean your brushes. And so I was always not cleaning my brushes. And it was just so sad. Like it just ruined these beautiful oil painting brushes by being negligent. And with gouache, you can be pretty, like with water soluble gouache, you can be pretty negligent and the brush will revive. So that's nice.
Yeah.
It works better for your lifestyle.
Yeah. Where's better for my lifestyle?
Mhm.
The on the go, youthful experience.
In
Yeah.
the picture, maybe it's cropped out for you, but I just noticed this lady in pink on the left side.
Oh, yeah. It's
Pretty
cropped
kind
out for me.
looks like she's riding a very small bicycle, but maybe it's not that small actually.
I like the color of her dress.
And another material question for you. What palette paper is that?
This is like a gray palette paper, which I personally don't love. It is gray matter
Oh,
paper palette. Um, I got it because I thought that it would help me control values. Because I could compare like, is this color a mid-tone or a light value relative to the palette? But I feel like for gouache, it's hard to really see the color in the light values. So it makes mixing light value colors accurately, I feel like pretty challenging. So it's not my favorite choice. Um, I'm just trying to use it. And then I'll make a different choice next time. But I like the disposable palette paper. It's just like you can rip off a few sheets. It helps it be really transportable. Like I have a glass palette that I like using, at home, but I don't often bring that with me because it is so heavy. Ooh,
yeah, you do so much backpacking and stuff. It's just really not practical.
yeah, yeah, and I feel like oftentimes when I'm going out to paint, especially if I'm traveling, I'm not like a super, I don't know, it's hard for me to be 100% committed to the painting. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, this is way cooler than I thought. Like I want to keep going. I don't want to stop and paint here. And so it's nice to feel that I'm not so burdened by my materials that I feel I have to like immediately use them.
Hmm.
I like keeping them pretty lightweight and minimal. And with this roof, I kind of fell into the trap of thinking about what I know the color is, not what I observe the color to be.
Have you been to this beach park, or do you just find it on explorations?
Yes, I have seen this beach park. I think the last time I was at this beach park, um, my partner and I had driven out there, and there's like a trail near here that I like running on. I like going for this like long hot run, so fun. And then like maybe dipping in the ocean afterwards. But this particular time, it was like torrentially raining. And I like ran down this little path. I was like, it's fine, it's warm, it's gonna be wet, that's okay. But oh God, I was so wet. And I was like sitting in the car waiting for him to be done with his favored activity of surfing. And I was feeling pretty embittered. Like, no way to call him, like, like the waves are fine. It's just miserable on land. I felt pretty sorry for myself. So it's kind of similar, a little gloomy weather to this photo. But this is across from a pretty famous, I'm probably going to get it wrong, but it's one of the famous little Hawaii surf beaches on the North Shore. Pipeline or Sunset. Oh, it probably shows me here. Let's see. Where is it? Oh, it's Ehukai Beach Park. Okay, so whatever. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's close. It's close to those famous surf breaks.
Mhm.
All right.
What color I'm using? But yeah, Hawaii is a pretty good source of roadside bathrooms because there's like a bunch, especially on the North Shore. There's a road that kind of hugs the coastline, so you kind of drive past these beach parks that are just like right off the side of the road, so you can see their you can see their bathrooms really easily.
Yeah. Lots of public parks.
Mm-hmm. And they all have these like really cool like I wanted to find one that showed it more, but they have these really nice like open tiles on all of them. And this one is kind of the angle's not great for showing it off. Be very pretty, their tile screens.
And just for your reference, it's been a little more than 20 minutes.
Ah!
No rush. Don't, don't worry.
Wrap it up, Sarah.
You gotta start thinking about wrapping it up.
Okay, okay.
So what are you thinking about as you think about wrapping it up?
I would think about trying to clarify some things. Um, I try to think about like, I guess like what are some shapes that I like or contrasts that are interesting to me, and to try to clarify those. This is kind of a weird one because there's not like a lot of direct light.
Yeah.
There's a lot of just like honestly some things that gouache I don't think does very well, like these soft gradients of shadow shapes. And then like what is the shadow temperature relative to the light area? I feel like my little brain is too, I don't think Dayquil is helping me with that.
Yeah. What's happened to the unconscious perception?
Yeah. I feel like I would typically think a little more strategically than I have been, but sometimes it's nice to just like not be too strategic. So okay, so I want to squint. Like it's kind of weird. There's like this lighter spot in the background, and then what are the shapes that I like here? There's a painter I like that would say at a certain point, like you have to switch from thinking like how are you, like you have to switch from thinking of like your painting as the painting and the thing that you're observing as reality, and kind of flip it into the painting as reality, and the thing that you're observing is kind of like the fake world, the painting. So I feel like at this stage, sometimes that's like a helpful framing. Where you're thinking about like how can I support, like what's happening, what's actually happening in my image, and how can I, support that. Or like another thing I think about with students is kind of thinking about areas that are like good enough, and then areas that still need a lot of help.
Yeah, that's so real.
Because it's so tempting to just like hyper focus on like one area that's really fine. You spent a lot of time on it and it's really like doing okay. And then you just like ignore these areas that you just haven't thought about that are just falling apart. So then I think the other thing I think about is a lot of maybe contours, especially like working quickly. I feel like just having like an interesting shape is useful. So maybe like I think about how these little porta potties can help to create some space there. Maybe this guy.
Mm. This feels like the real Hawaii.
Yeah, like not super glitzy.
Mhm. Like very green, but kind of cloudy.
Yeah.
Yeah, not glitzy, as you said.
Full bathroom. Yeah, so right now I think I'm just trying to like clarify some of my foreground shapes by sacrificing my little green guy in the background and making that a little more homogeneous. These, so the foreground buildings can maybe stand out a little bit more. Sometimes with gouache, I think especially if you're newer to it, it's really helpful to just test out your colors on the side. because it can be hard to tell when they're dry, when they're wet on your palette, you know, just kind of like what they're looking like. So I find that really helpful.
Yeah, especially when your palette is a different color than your paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I feel it's like something that is just something about gouache that for me it's super hard to tell the values. And I don't think I'm someone who struggles with values much, but like I with gouache I struggle so much with mixing, and I think like my tonal value range always ends up being quite small, and I really struggle with the contrast. It's just
I feel
probably an experience thing, but I really
I think it's
notice
like a
it.
combo, but like I also feel like it is challenge. It's challenging to get kind of like I feel like it's challenging to get a really broad range in some ways.
Mhm.
Have a lot of subtlety. Um, I tend to like when I'm having subtlety in my gouache. Sometimes it's just that it is almost accidental. It's like I intended to mix a color that would work for a different area, and then it wasn't quite right. And so, but it turned out that it like you know like now I could see that it was like maybe better for this other area,
Mhm.
and so I just kind of roll with it.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of that, like if I do wind up with kind of subtle mixing, it's more a result of that situation um,
Mhm.
than necessarily like a controlled, like deliberate, like I'm choosing this color specifically for this moment situation.
Yeah.
So I definitely still find it kind of challenging.
Okay. I think we're approaching the 30-minute mark,
Right. Well,
just to let you know.
I was going to try to make a little shaped triangle here on the ground plane, and then I'm willing to say it can be finished. What color do I want my little triangle friend to be? I like kind of filling in a color, like a shape bigger than it needs to be at first. You know, like trying to make this whole area kind of similar in color. Um, both like kind of like one way I was like trained to paint, but then also it like sets me up, I feel like, to do like little cutout moments where you can kind of go back over it and create like a little bit of difference on top, which I like doing. So yeah, right now I was just trying to like kind of clarify this little ground plane and maybe like separate these little peach blobs. I do think my criticism of this scene is there's a lot of you know, like kind of beige blobs, a lot of similar colors. Okay, these little ground plane triangles. And over here, I just want to do another little tidy up my edges. So like, yeah, I think at this stage, I'm trying to tidy up the edges a little bit just to kind of create some contrast with my little color sheets.
Do you have a preferred type of paper to work on with gouache?
I like working on Bristol. I tend to like working on smooth papers too. Like this is a smooth paper, like it's a plate Bristol or smooth Bristol. So it's really, really smooth.
Yeah,
It's like a
smoother
cardstock
than
almost.
usual.
Huh?
Smoother than usual Bristol.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like a vellum Bristol, which has a
Gotcha.
little more texture. But yeah, okay, here we go. I think I feel okay calling this
Mhm.
finished. Where does my shape begin?
Do you know the paper weight of the Bristol you're working on?
I feel like they're all kind of similar. Well, I mean, I don't think it's like crazy expensive Bristol. This one is like pretty thin, honestly.
Yeah, maybe like 120 or something.
Yeah, I can see what I just bought some more Bristol. I usually just try to buy the cheaper Bristol. You know, like I'm not trying to buy the high end 300 or I don't know what they become, like the really thick Bristol.
The board ones.
Yeah, definitely not the board ones. Um, oh, here's one that I used to use that I just ran out of. This one says it's 100 pounds.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's pretty light.
Yeah, smooth Bristol. I was very happy with this pack. It's like a Fabriano Bristol pack.
Got
Yeah, I have right now somewhere. I have a giant thing of, oh yeah, just Dick Lick brand Studio Bristol again, 100 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I've worked on like because I kind of work with the water. I don't really do watercolory gouache. You know,
Yeah.
it's pretty um like it's not like blooming and like creating washes. Like I use it fairly stiffly, I would say. So it doesn't like I can work on fairly lightweight paper and get away with it. Like I had just like a sketchbook and I was able to work on that. And it like kind of like it'll kind of wrinkle the paper, but it's not like horrible. But
Because they're height.
super,
Gesundheit.
super thin. I worked on drawing paper before. But I think like I like the 100 weight Bristol is really good. Mainly
Yeah.
I think it's the surface, like it's I think pretty heavily sized, so it doesn't like pill. Where I feel like some papers they kind of pill
Mm-hmm.
when you work.
Yeah, yeah. Yucky.
Yeah, gross. But yeah, at this stage of the drawing, if I wanted to take it further, I would probably look, and I didn't have like a ton more time. Like maybe I had just like a little bit more time. I would probably do some drawing over it just to like clarify my perspective, and then look for ways to kind of use the way my shapes overlap one another to help reinforce that. You know, like this like plane here, the way that these shapes are interacting with it are a little bit they're kind of fine, but they're like maybe a little bit loose, and so I'd probably try to tighten up some of those areas. Just like really think about where I want to have like a clear edge and where I want it to be a little bit looser. What we can do. Are we doing an oh it's like almost done. I was gonna say we can do another one. It's like almost 11.
All right, we're now at the 40-minute mark.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say we can be done. I'm just kind of
Okay. Last. Is there
psychological.
something that you're doing to get those last refining moments?
Yeah, like if I was like gonna keep working on it, I would kind of like draw over it and like maybe use a ruler just to like figure
Mhm.
out like this shape over here and this shape over here, kind of like they have an opportunity to be similar, but they're not similar. And then I have to I think like, oh, do I want them to be the same or do I want them to be a little different? Do some of that stuff, but we can move on. Um,
All right.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Sarah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.